So, Johnny,
Yeah?
let's say you've got a stack of 50 Christmas cards you need to send out.
Christmas?
It's January, Johnny, but yes, 50 Christmas cards where each one needs to be signed, folded, stuffed in an envelope, sealed, addressed, and stamped.
Can I lick it?
No, Johnny, but what do you think would be the fastest way to do it?
With the help of the Christmas spirit.
No. Now, intuition would suggest it's best to do each step in large batches, first signing all 50 cards, then folding all 50, stuffing, sealing, addressing, and stamping.
Can I lick this one?
They're stickers, Johnny. After all, the more we repeat a task, the better we get at it, not to mention the fact that we're not wasting all of that time moving between steps with each individual letter. In the business world, this style of large batch processing is often associated with the early days of American manufacturing, where people like Henry Ford harnessed its power on his now storied assembly lines. Ford achieved unheard of economies of scale by mass-producing parts for his cars in large batches, driving down costs
Driving. Good one, narrator.
and moving a lot of Model Ts. Buy my merch.
Wow, the American way is so clearly superior.
Not so fast, Johnny. What if I told you it wasn't?
What?
What if I told you the fastest way to stuff the envelopes is actually doing each card one at a time, first signing it, then folding it, stuffing, sealing, addressing, and stamping, and only then moving on to the next one.
My entire worldview has been shattered.
This technique is called single-piece flow, and several studies have shown that it really is faster, like this video by Ron Pereira, where he finishes about 20% faster doing each letter individually.
But why?
Among other things, while large batches can lead to efficiencies with each individual step, they also lead to a lot more picking up and putting down of each card, more piles of loose envelopes being pushed around and sorted. In single-piece flow, you're not putting that baby to bed until the process is done. Eric Ries sums this up in his awesome book, The Lean Startup. In process-oriented work like this, individual performance is not nearly as important as the overall performance of the system. Also, the content for this entire video was basically stolen from my book, so that's great, Eric. Thank you. Buy my merch. In manufacturing, smaller batches not only allow us to start selling products to customers right away rather than waiting for an entire batch to be done, they also clue us into potential problems in our process much earlier. Take, for example, defective envelopes that won't seal. If we were working in large batches, we would have to unstuff all of our envelopes and start over with new ones.
Or I could lick them.
Whereas in single-piece flow, we're aware of the problem on the first card. Take that, large batches.
Yeah, batches.
Single-piece flow is just one of many principles that make up what's come to be known as the lean manufacturing movement.
The what?
The manufacturing of production often is minimization, but the manufacturing is a sacrifice productivity.
The what?
In the aftermath of World War II, Japanese car makers like Toyota were struggling to compete with the economies of scale enjoyed by American companies. Without the money to buy big, specialized machinery for each part of their process, they instead had to rely on smaller, more flexible machines that could make several different kinds of parts. This in turn forced them to make their cars in, you guessed it, smaller batch sizes.
Small batch size. Yeah, that's what I thought.
These small batch sizes led to greater flexibility and market responsiveness. While American car makers were stuck with the same machines making similar kinds of cars for years, sometimes left with backbreaking amounts of unsold inventory or defective parts, Toyota was able to service smaller markets and change quickly to other kinds of cars if their current models weren't selling. Early leaders in the company, such as Taiichi Ohno and Shigeo Shingo,
Japan words.
innovated with these smaller machines obsessively, dramatically reducing the time it took to switch from making one type of part to another, and leading them to enjoy economies of scale comparable to those of the Americans without sacrificing their lean systems.
I want lean manufacturing on my economies of scale.
Tashio Chimakazu.
I love you too, Japanese man.
But it wasn't just the principle of smaller batch sizes. The Toyota production system has evolved into a comprehensive ideology centered around principles of quality control and minimization of any kind of waste, or as they call them, the 7 mudas or 7 deadly wastes.
Yay, recycling!
It's not just recycling, Johnny. For example, if a defective part is found in the production line, rather than just throw it out to keep the line moving, Toyota stops the entire line until the cause of the defect is identified and fixed. Better a short-term stall in production than a long-term underlying problem.
Yay, for stalling production lines!
And rather than assign each employee to focus on one task the entire time they're at work, Toyota often rotates them between tasks, helping them avoid boredom and understand the bigger picture of what the team is trying to accomplish.
Yay, accomplishment!
They actively encourage employees to submit ideas for process improvement, a scary proposition for employees since no one wants to suggest an idea that might make their job obsolete. But Toyota does so with a sort of understanding or unspoken promise with employees, and that's that they'll never let anyone go because of an improvement in process or a drop in demand, even if that improvement makes employees redundant.
No one is redundant and everyone loves everyone.
Yes, Johnny, it's these and several other like-minded principles that form the basis of what's come to be known as the lean manufacturing movement, a renowned method studied and adored in businesses and business schools year-round and worldwide.
Even on Christmas?
No, Johnny, probably not on Christmas.
Yippee! Hug me, Japanese man.
Don't touch him, Johnny.
Okay.